All right.
It's like it was miserable.
So, hey guys, it's
Everything
yellow.
gets worse than before.
We're on yellow now, so
Stretch your face.
it's about this, okay? So, we are going to be reading this story. Before we get going, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about, first of all, a couple of warnings. I don't think it's terrible. Like, you guys probably see stuff like this on TV all the time. But this does have some violence in it, okay?
No, I don't want that.
Very light swearing, but I won't read those out loud.
Why?
So-
That's the fun part.
Yeah, that's a very fun part.
Okay?
Dude, the fun part is the violence.
This is not how yellow works, guys. Okay? So I'm gonna read most of it. Really, all you have to do is be a part of it and think and use your brain and be a part of the discussion. But there is going to be some things that you might want to, like you might need to ask about or whatever. So, I want you guys to think about what are some issues around racism that you guys can think about that are happening in the world right now. What can you think about? Thank you for raising your hand, Autumn. What?
Racism, whatever.
What are some issues around racism that you are aware of that's happening right now?
What is racism?
Oh, what is racism? Who can tell us what racism is? Raise your hand. Jonathan.
It's when someone doesn't like your racist stuff, so like they'll be like, hey, I don't like you because you're racist stuff.
Because of like what do you mean by race?
Like
Yeah, I know
you're
that.
black and I'm white.
Okay? So like someone who's black or Hispanic or something else. Okay?
I know skin color.
And is it possible to be racist against any race?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
And I want you to recognize something important. Racism does not mean that you recognize that someone is black or Mexican or white or Jewish or whatever. It's when you hate that person because of that. Okay? If I looked at you and said, oh, I would have liked you, but you're black, so I don't. Okay? That's racism. It's when you hate someone or you act differently towards someone just because of their race and not because of something that, actually is different. So it is important to recognize that it's more about hating someone than it is about just recognizing. So I will say, this is Will, he's black. It's not racist for me to say that he's black, okay? If I said he's black so he's dumb, that would be racist. But that's not what I'm saying. Okay, so does that help you understand what racism is? Okay, perfect. I know a lot of people, and I was one of those people, like, I don't know how old I was by the time I met the first black person, but I was like, oh, there's people that look different than me, right? And some people feel that someone looking different means they're bad, okay? This book talks a lot about racism. Yes, Tyson.
It's when a white person or anything else goes up to a person that's not their skin color and is like, I hate you because you're different. And then they're just like, well, you're mean. That's racism.
Okay, great.
You know,
Beautiful.
different too.
Autumn.
Actually, my dad, when he had me, his friend would always come over, and his friends are not being rude or nothing, but his friends are black.
It's okay to recognize that someone is black.
Black people, because he always comes over.
Okay.
He went to school with him.
Okay, because we all recognize that people look different. Some of us have had those kinds of experiences, but maybe you've never had a lot of time with someone who is from India or something. Or I hear this a lot of racist talk where people will say things that are really super not nice about people from a bunch of different, like for example, people from the Middle East, people who are not black or Mexican but have darker skin, someone who is Jewish or something like that, hating someone because of something that is just who they are, right? That's racism. But there's also other kinds of things, like if I'm a man and I think women are stupid just because they're women, that would be sexism, and that's a different kind of thing, but it's still hatred. It's still thinking someone isn't as good because of that. This story is really cool. I've never been a black boy, okay, because I'm not black, I'm white. And so I love when I read a story and it teaches me something about me and about other people, helps me understand other people. So can you think of any racist or any things about race that have been going on? Okay.
Never mind.
Never mind, why? Yes?
Because I just think the whole thing is
Miley.
What is it called? Like the youth songs. The riots.
The what?
Riots.
It's so interesting. I'm hearing a lot of people say the word the riots. Like 99% of those things were protests, right? And a protest and a riot is not the same thing. So yes, there have been riots, right? But there have also been protests. Protesting what?
Black Lives Matter.
Okay, Black Lives Matter is a big one that's been talked about a lot. Yes?
I don't know if this is true, but don't yell at me if it's not true. But my friend Kenzie, she said that there's been black people because they keep calling them racism or whatever. Yeah, they keep going around doors and shooting people.
Oh, black people. Oh, my friend brought up this fact that a bunch of black people went up to this woman that was white and shot her just because she's white, even though she was supporting Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, that's
So-
what Kenzie told me.
That's a really interesting anecdote. An anecdote is like a story that you heard happened, right?
But I don't know.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but it could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Or not, 'cause, yeah.
But you guys are hearing a lot about the violence, right? Violence is a big part of this book, and I think that is important because I didn't grow up in an inner city, but I have lived in a city. I lived in Portland, and I saw shootings happen. But it is an experience that teaches me about the world, and it helps me understand the world. So we're not doing political conversations. I'm not going to try to say you have to think a certain way, and I want you guys to be able to share some opinions, but let's try to keep away from some of the political, like, I don't care if you think it's bad to protest or whatever, you don't or it's good, or that, we're not going to advocate violence or whatever. Yes, last thing, and then we'll go on.
When was this book made?
It came out like a month ago.
Oh, dang.
So,
Wait, please.
let's go ahead and start. No, we're moving on.
It's like really
Nope.
quick.
Okay, it's called Long Way Down. Any imagination as to why it's called that? Like, why would it be called A Long Way Down?
Mr. Berry,
Yes?
would you please send Precious to the office to check out?
Yeah. Sorry, I miss you.
ahead.
Okay,
Take me to.
Yeah.
listen carefully. Don't nobody believe nothing these days, which is why I haven't told nobody the story I'm about to tell you. You probably ain't gonna believe it either. Gonna think I'm lying or I'm losing it, but I'm telling you. This is true. It happened to me. Okay? Now, to be clear, this is a fictional story, and fiction means fake. Let's say that together. Everyone, fiction means fake. Okay?
Non-fiction means real.
So if we can remember that fiction is fake and nonfiction is real, and I just remember that, so this is a made-up story, but it is something that has happened to a lot of people. So still is something important we can learn from it. My name is William Holloway. But to my friends and people who know me, just Will. So let's take a second. Will you guys, by raise of hand, tell me as much as you can about Will?
She's Will.
Jonathan.
I can tell her this Will.
Okay, that's great. We know his name.
Oh, he's black.
He's black. Tyson.
I don't know, he has friends. Lots of them.
He has
I
friends.
mean, he has a lot of people that know him and friends.
He says, go to my friends.
Oh, he does have friends. You're right. Okay, I had never thought about that. Okay, what else? What else can you tell me about him? Autumn.
People that know him call him Will.
Okay. Look at him. Look at him and tell me what you can about Will. Rowland.
He has an orange shirt on.
Okay.
Yellow. It looks
Probably
like
like
Kind of a yellowish orange. He likes what?
soccer.
Okay, I think it's funny that people assume soccer, but it does look like sports maybe because he's got like a number on his shirt, like it's a jersey almost. Okay. Anything
I
else?
mean, like for baseball,
wearing
we wear
ripped
like
jeans.
our picture on
He's
like
wearing
the
white
side right here, and then our
Okay. Hang on. We have to make some inferences here, but we have to look at it. The most obvious thing about Will, okay, he's black and he's probably like how old? 14, teenager probably about your age. Does he look rich to you?
No.
Is there any sign that you can tell that maybe he's not super rich?
I mean, he might be rich in the neighborhood, but not.
He might. We don't know for sure, but we can guess. He's got like ripped jeans. And where does he live?
They're fashionable.
Where does he live? That's true. Where does he live?
In New York.
Why would you assume New York?
Building.
There's McDonald's.
And in the beginning, when his first wife said he lived in New York.
Where?
It said New York.
Where?
Go back.
Let's say New York.
Go back. Go back. New York.
Yeah, but that's just where it was published, though.
Okay.
But that is, can you imagine, though? My brain didn't see that at all. That's an amazing thing to
I mean, like,
notice.
you're covering the words for me sometimes.
That's okay. All right,
It's not okay.
raise your hand real high if you've ever read a graphic novel.
Always, bro.
I have
Okay.
My brother
reading.
is a
Perfect.
dog man.
Okay, your computer should not be on. Should be closed and out of the way. Okay, so when you read a graphic novel, it shows you things like this square right here or this rectangle. It'll say things like when the story was happening. This says the day before yesterday because we read in English, we read from left to right and from top to bottom. We're reading it like that. So I'll start here and I'll go like this and then I will go here and I will read down. So you guys just need to go along with me and look at the art and try to see what's
I'm
going
trying to
on.
get the banana.
The day before yesterday. I need to, Will. There's no way I'll make it at 5'7". What does that mean?
What? How
There's
tall?
no way I'll make it at 5'7".
Like tall.
Yes, 5 feet 7 inches tall. And what does that matter for him?
Yeah, that's because he plays basketball.
Basketball. Because
I'm like 5'4".
taller
Oh, okay,
people
it splits the shirt.
Play basketball.
play basketball. Well, it's
My
more
brother's
likely to make
6'4".
it in basketball when you're taller. I'm only William to my mother. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm only William to my mother and my brother Sean. Whenever he was trying to be funny. William, what are you ladies up to? Tony's waiting for his growth spurt to make an appearance. So, characters, I'm not going to stop like this very often. Will, yellow shirt. Okay, got it? Is Will the main character?
Yeah.
Yes. Tony, this guy, who's probably Will's friend. Who's this dude?
His brother.
What's his brother's name?
Bob.
Sean. Okay, Sean.
It looks like he has a
Yeah,
girlfriend.
there.
Sean's girlfriend. I don't think we know her name. Just Sean's girlfriend.
But she looks like she loves crop tops.
She looks like a Sarah.
Okay,
That is not fair.
Carrot.
and then this is Sean and Will. Do they look like they get along?
No.
Yeah, kind
Messed
of.
up.
They
look like they're play fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, like, my brother doesn't show me.
Um,
They're just messing around.
They're both smiling, so probably they get along okay. But this is Sean, older brother or younger brother?
Older.
Older. Okay.
It's like,
Y'all are what, 15? I grew a foot when I was 15. Like a foot and a half. I got all his old shirts he couldn't fit. Even though Tony was the best ball player around our age, he was always the shortest. And everybody knows you can't go all the way when you're that small. Unless you can really jump. So go all the way in the NBA, right?
haiku.
Unless you can really jump.
They were like 15.
Like fly.
They're like 15.
Oh.
Bam, bam. Everybody ran, ducked, hid, tucked themselves tight. What does that bam, bam mean?
Oh, they're in the hood.
Okay, now this is setting. The setting is when and where. And Carly, what is the hood? Explain that, because that's part of the setting.
It's like where a lot of like gangbangers hang, and where a lot of like shoot, like a lot of gangbangers, they have guns, and so like they'll shoot at each other, like if they don't like each other.
So you're saying maybe that there's gang stuff going on here?
Gang-related stuff there, yeah.
And what does the actual word hood mean?
Neighborhood.
Neighborhood, okay? And so they're probably in a city, there's probably gangs, and there's definitely some shooting going on.
I
Yeah.
was born in Cali. There was lots of gangs,
What part of California?
like LA.
Okay. In fact, this maybe Detroit, LA, or New
It's
York,
not LA.
or Chicago, or something like that.
In London.
Did what we've all been trained to do. We pressed our lips to the pavement and prayed the boom, followed by the buzz of a bullet, ain't meet us. Me and Tony waited like we always do for the rumble to stop. Like we always do?
So they're used to like gun shootings and.
This is probably not the first time this has happened. That's pretty hard. Before picking our heads up to count the bodies, this time there was only one. Sean.
Sean the sheep.
So, try again, dude.
What?
You just said Sean the sheep out loud.
Yeah,
Just not an appropriate response out loud.
I
Okay, what's in this bag?
don't know, what is it?
Maybe something that the people gave them.
Someone say food.
It's like the Chinese.
Let's take a guess. What do you think's in the bag?
Chinese.
money.
Could be money, could be food, could be
Drugs.
A
could be
present.
drugs.
Chinese.
Could be
Okay, I have to ask you this, okay? I'm gonna get in trouble, of course. The idea that I would look at this guy, if I saw him walking down the road and he was carrying a bag, someone in every class I've had has said, what if there's drugs in it, right? If you saw a dude walking down the street, he was wearing a nice suit and nice combed hair, he's a white guy, would you say, oh my gosh, that guy has drugs?
No.
Why would we say that if it was a black guy? Why would I be more likely to say, oh my gosh, it could be drugs?
It could.
Because he's
Also,
black.
No, it's not.
What?
just
People
black.
just like to assume things from other people.
And
I
do,
think
that are
I
different
guys,
from them.
you just said an awesome word, Chloe, assume. Guys, everybody's brains assume things. I make assumptions about people all the time, okay? And we all do because that's the way our brains work. It's how we understand the world. But it's also, could it be racist to just assume someone had drugs?
No.
No.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yes.
Could
It is if
be.
you're
But
meaning
no.
it in that way.
And we might have to ask ourselves as we go through this, we might have to ask ourselves a few times, hey, why did I think that? Maybe it was because I was assuming something about them that maybe it wasn't true. But we'll see. Maybe it was drugs. Maybe it was money. Maybe it was food. Maybe it was something else. Yes?
Maybe because the white people think that black people are like bad and the white people are like really good. And so I
That-
think black people are always like the bad kids and they always get drugs and stuff.
White people do a wonderful
It is very possible, guys, and everybody does it. Doesn't matter what color your skin is. Everybody does it because we have these things that we have to make sure we're aware of. Because I might be racist and I might have a racist idea and I might not even know it. I might then go, wait a second, that was really racist, and then realize what I did and apologize and understand it. But that's up for us to be able to decide if we think that's the case. The day before yesterday, Sean was shot. And killed. This is such beautiful art. Look at this.
What is it? What is it?
I think that
Earthquake.
this is so powerful to me because it explains what's going on inside Will's head, but it also explains to me like what it might feel like to have an anxiety attack or to have a feeling like when you've lost someone that you really cared about, like if a family member died or something like that. We might have all had an experience like this. So it says, I've never been in an earthquake. Don't know if this is even close to how they are, but the ground definitely felt like it opened up and ate me. I don't know you. I don't know your last name. If you got brothers or sisters or mothers or fathers or cousins that be like brothers and sisters, or aunties or uncles that be like mothers and fathers. Not my baby, not my baby. Why? But if the blood inside you is on the inside of someone else, you never want to see it outside of them. So let's write that down really super
That's the
fast.
mom.
Okay? This is Sean's and Will's mom. What does that mean? Let's think about it. Don't respond yet. What does this mean? Listen carefully. And I want you to write this on your page. We're writing a quote just like this. See how I wrote this quote? But if the blood inside you is on the inside of someone else, what does that mean?
Do we write that?
Yes. Put quotes around it, and it's something that Will said. If the blood inside you is the same as the blood inside someone else, what does that mean? It means that you're family, right? Like we share blood. That means that we're both like brothers and sisters, or mothers and fathers, or whatever. You never want to see it on the outside of them. So hurry and write that, because we're almost out of time. You're supposed to write this.
I just wrote blood once.
But if the blood inside you is on the inside of someone else, maybe they're your brother or your sister, You never want to see it on the outside of them. Isaac, you're going to write it?
What?
Write this down in your notebook.
What?
You
It's
can't
also
see.
right here. If the blood inside you is on the inside of someone else, you never want to see it on the outside of them.
Why does it say Will by it?
Oh, I'll explain that in a minute.
Because he just wrote it.
Maybe not today. This is actually the next thing we have to write down, but we might not write it today because we're almost out of time.
Can I
Quote
write it?
unquote.
Did anybody see anything? The police get there. Did anybody see anyone? I ain't seen nothing. Couldn't hear nothing. This is another thing, like, guys, I've had anxiety attacks in my life, and this is what it felt like. So listen, this is the coolest way of describing it. This is why I love poetry, and I love how Jason Reynolds writes. Couldn't hear nothing. Ears filled up with heartbeats like my head was being held underwater. Have you ever had where you heard your own heartbeat in your head, and it was like you were completely... Don't pack up yet, we're not ready. Bell didn't ring.
I want a book.
Bell didn't ring. Like I was holding my breath. Maybe I was, hoping I could give some back to Sean. Okay,
Now it is.
now you close your notebook and you put it in a nice stack on the 7th period pile.
I know why they said I didn't see nothing because